So, I'm not actually sure which part is my notes and which was just journaling in general, to be honest. I'm just going to read it because I think this is it. 8/14/26. Thumbnail. Go back to your family. I don't know if I ended up making that the thumbnail for the part 1 or not, but I'm probably going to have something else for the thumbnail. Well, exactly what I thought would happen happened. The already stupid quote-unquote adolescence ends under 15 lady Googled me and of course got a couple of her co-workers to come confront me about me going quote-unquote home, and of course the false diagnosis from the whole Munchausen and Cash for Kids system situation. So of course now they're just gonna feel like, oh well, you're retarded, and that's gonna cause them to treat me funnier than they already would have treated me because of my age, even though at first they were doing what a lot of people have done since I've been in the South, which is claim that I'm secretly decades older than I actually am. Not to mention they kept accusing me of not really being homeless and a whole bunch of other stuff, but that's kind of irrelevant. But anywho, I already know that the whole thing of people giving out housing isn't true. I also know that you're a federal minor till like 26, so especially like some people will actually admit to you in the West Coast. If you're under that age, it's like likely for you to get housing, even if somebody was giving out housing, which I don't believe in that. I believe that anything you get, you got to get it yourself, not sitting around hoping for some fairy tale while some organization scrapes up money with hopes and promises of things that are just magical thinking. But if somebody is actually helping with housing, you're not going to get it anyways because you're not old enough. Although I will say in some places in the South it's kind of different, especially if you're a female who's pregnant or has kids, then like you may get into that type of housing. But there's a lot that I could say about that, but that'll be kind of irrelevant. But I don't believe in all that stuff anyways. But still, the point is that even if it was true, now that they have seen all the missing persons reports and stuff like that, since they're going to see me as just like retarded and all that stuff, they're not going to give me anything anyways. Which is still ironic because, I mean, they'll still do it for the people that actually do like walk around just doing stereotypically danger to other people stuff, if that even came out right. Like, I don't know, people that are like really fractured from all the trauma and they walk around talking to themselves and threatening people, stuff like that. They'll still like do stuff for those people, which I'm not saying that they shouldn't, but it's just like really biased how it works, because it's like due to the fact that they've seen the missing persons reports and the smear campaigning, that's going to make them feel some type of way about me for things I don't even show signs of, versus people that actually do show signs of those things and actually do run around claiming those diagnoses even when they don't show symptoms of them. But it's also a disability type scheme thing, especially with these places in the South, because like the lady was even saying, they'd rather let people with disability checks into the shelter or just Social Security in general, because they can actually get those people into housing, which really just means that they're helping people look for housing that they could have found on their own that they already qualified for, but those people either don't know how or can't do those searches themselves. And that even goes back to one of the things about it. I feel like a case manager is good for like youth resource centers and people that have like disabilities, like they're blind or something, or they've never been taught how to do anything, but generally they just help people do things that they could do themselves. But as I said, I don't really believe in that stuff, but a lot of people, they do believe in these magical thinking, help save your fairy tales. So now I can go to the actual like next sentence. And now they're more adamant about an SSI check that I don't have. I don't even have a valid or verified diagnosis and don't know what the check was actually for exactly. LOL. And when I mentioned the whole job interview thing, because that's what the missing persons reports that they're seeing are about. I just got a notification. Majority of them? Well, none of them are from when I actually escaped. That's one thing. Even my mom was making Facebook posts about how the police didn't want to make an article. And I didn't even know that there was an article until a long time later, because they spelled my name wrong, because they were just trying to throw whatever up because my mom wouldn't leave them alone. So nothing that they're actually seeing and nothing that's actually like findable and easy to find is from when I actually escaped. They're looking at stuff from a missing persons report that was canceled the same day, where all the articles were uploaded while I was in the house taking a shower, from when I tried to sneak to a job interview. So yeah. And of course, one of the things about it is that now that they've seen that, they're not going to believe a word I say, and they could care less about anything I have to say anyways, just because of my age. When they want to not claim I'm secretly 38, when people don't do that, that's already going to make them not care about anything I have to say, because as far as they care, I need to go home. But one of the things, like I said before, and I've been noticed, is that I stand out too much because they weren't doing any of this for the other two kids that were out here, and both of them went missing, and nobody gave a crap. And the one of the girls, she very obviously, people were just always talking about she was schizo, quote unquote. She very obviously, she had DID from a life of SA and traf and whatever else. And so she would like sometimes split off and start talking to different things out loud, or they would just like take over her and start talking, whatever that stuff is necessarily called. But people were just talking junk about her and saying she was fast and grown, and that she was a quote unquote hoe and stealing her boyfriend because she was being used and taken advantage of. Then as far as the boy, people openly don't care about males anyways, because they just see boys as bad and dangerous. People pretend to care about girls, but they really obviously don't. And like I said, both of them went missing, and like they were even like going to the shelter, constantly begging to get in. The girl, she was saying she actually had an SSDI check, so they should have helped her get into the shelter and helped her get housing. But I guess due to ageism and whatever else, they didn't care. But also, like other people have pointed out, and even like people will point out when I was in Cali, seems like the quote unquote white people get into these shelters and stuff easier than other people. And there's so much I could say about that. So it's like, you guys claim to be so concerned, quote unquote. And first of all, it's just so nosy. But yet they're happy-go-lucky and friends with these dudes, even the ones that have been convicted for being serial rapists that are still raping and molesting people, that have essayed their own kids. They're happy-go-lucky about them. The women love those dudes. Of course, the guys like them too. But it's like, you want to go be nosy and go search through Facebook and Google and YouTube and all that stuff about me. But it's like, what about the people that have actually really done stuff? And then, of course, now she's going to call herself being scared of me. And it's already really interesting because, like another lady had even said, she was also told, I was told since I first went there the first time last year, that they didn't even have case managers. It wasn't even until a couple months ago where they even admitted that they did. But I only even went because somebody told me to. I already know that all that stuff is bullcrap, and that if you get anything, you got to get it yourself. Whatever you want, you got to go get it yourself. I regret even letting somebody talk me into going there, because of course now I'm just another person on the list that they can scrape up money for while treating me like crap, to be honest. This one guy, he even said, aside from a dude coming and trying to scrape him up to sex traffic him, he also stopped going to the shelter because they were being mean to people. And actually, another staff member had even said that my case manager is nice to me, which is funny. She was like, well, her case manager's mean to her, so that was actually kind of funny. But they were like, quote unquote, well, why weren't you allowed to work? And could you have maybe not been allowed to work because someone was getting a check for you? That's actually funny, because I did realize that after the fact, which is in the abuse evidence videos, I still have these videos where my mom had eventually admitted that that's one of the reasons she didn't want me to work, because she was worried about the check getting turned off. But that's not even the main reason. A lot of people are in abuse situations these days where they're not allowed to work jobs because of infantilization, which is not a good thing. It's a form of abuse and sabotage to trap you in abuse. You're never allowed to do anything or learn how to do anything to keep you stuck in the abuse. So, next sentence, LOL, that's so funny, because aside from the infantilization and sabotage, my mom did eventually admit that was one of the reasons. She wouldn't even let me get an ID either. The part 4 to 5 channel, I still have a vid of my mom and older enabler and golden child sisters discussing a plan to get me fired because I snuck and got a job after a while, by telling my boss I'm a psychopath and would be a danger to all, while laughing, which is ironic since my mom's boyfriend just came home saying they got fired for throwing box cutters at each other, and then for throwing box cutters at coworkers for making jokes about their domestic violence. Mom's boyfriend statement about what he'd tell the boss. Oh yeah, I remember when he had came and talked to me about it. He had sat down in the chair in the garage in front of me. He was like, "You know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna tell the boss. I'm gonna tell the boss the truth. I'm gonna sit down right in front of him like this with a straight face, and I'm gonna say, you know what? I don't know what everybody's talking about." Also, even when I actually ran, I was never quote unquote missing. My relatives made posts pretending I was actively being trafficked while having me blocked, and my mom even framed me as a trafficker because I made a comment. I said something about how one of the reasons that I actually was sick and that even they were sick was because of mold toxicity and how I was finding that stuff out. And then she had made a post about my comment and said that I was a trafficker because they wanted to play all these little games like somebody even really wants. Man, there's so much I can say about that. And of course, nobody cares. People just respond to that stuff and they like to play happy-go-lucky and play savior, play the fake I care. Nobody cares about kids and nobody really cares about anybody. People want to play all this fake care to try when it comes to getting somebody put back in a situation with an abusive family, but nobody would actually really help if push came to shove. Like there was even a whole situation where I had actually sent this one lady a Facebook message with abuse evidence videos of all the abuse, and what else was it? And she had made a post sharing the quote unquote missing persons bullcrap. And the moment she saw the videos and she seen the message, she deleted the post, then blocked me. People don't care. They just want abuse victims back where they want them. But I'm reading the sentence. I'm really just gonna try to ignore it because I've been in a flare up where I've been really tired and falling asleep and it's over 110 degrees. And I wanted to be closer to my job. Okay, so I left off at I wanted to be closer to my job. Plus, I've been finding. Ah, crap. Okay, so I got distracted by people. Plus, I've been finding loopholes, I think, to get medical treatment better than I can't really see this, my attempts in 2022 and before. I may put in some screenshots, but I don't know. Because it may be kind of hard to find some of them, especially because the whole thing with this guy taking my phone I guess that was like a month or so ago. And so I lost access to the last, to my abuse evidence channel emails that I actually had kept intact. It's kind of ironic, though, because it seems like it's been a lot of fighting to hold on to that stuff. Because there's always like someone doing something to try to like get me to lose access. I can still find some of the videos, but I think that like some of the 2022, I think that definitely a lot of that stuff may be on like the part 3 or 4 channel. Or I guess part 4 because the part 1 and 3 got deleted when CPS snitched about the 1,050 plus abuse evidence videos. So anyhow, and having a cold indoor environment where I can lay down and have a private bathroom will make this easier, especially when it comes to the whole preparing for like a procedure and all that stuff. Especially for like stomach stuff where you have to like maybe fast or you have to take laxatives or whatever. But I don't even know how long this is gonna last because what I found out so far, I found out through a paywall. If I didn't already put that in there and didn't already say that. But to make a long story short, it's another one of those entrapment situations where like it's like, I mean, being locked up and being treated like trash is always going to be bad. And it's really not something you should have to choose between. You really shouldn't have to weigh pros and cons of like being treated like crap and being locked up, and then like, or like being in 110 degrees. But there's still a lot of issues with it anyways, because it's like, one, I was something to negotiate even going to work, because one of the things that I thought about is that, like, since my job is closer to the shelter, if they ever did let me in, actually, instead of always saying that they're full, when a lot of people say that's really not true, which actually really isn't true that they're full. That's what they always tell people. But anyhow, it's like, what was I saying? Oh yeah, I was thinking like, well, then I'd be able to work night shift, and then I'd also be able to definitely get to my job on time, because I wouldn't have to like do all the hoping and waiting for the bus and all that stuff. But then to remember that there's like the 5 or 6 curfew, and this is something that I like would hear people talk about a lot, even before I had ran away, but even in the earlier days, of like how, due to the rules at a lot of these places, it can actually be hard to like do basic things that you need to do every day because of curfews. And like, even I know with some of them, especially with the one youth shelter that I even found when I was in Oregon, like, you can only be there from, it was like 8 or 9 p.m. till 8 a.m. And it's funny because a lot of people say, well, if people would just go to a shelter, we don't have to see their faces and stuff. But it's like, the way some shelters work is that you actually have to be gone, and you can't just be there all day throughout the day. So it's pretty much, you're just going there to just go to sleep. And then, what else was it? I was watching this guy riding his scooter. Watching my surroundings as always, pretty much. But I'm trying to remember what I was even about to say. I don't even know. I think it's like there's the pros and the cons, but generally it just seems like, I mean, it's something that could help with a flare, but it mostly makes things worse, because one, I can't really sleep on a mattress like that because of spine lumps and stuff, and they start swelling up again, and then it's also really cold, and that causes its own issues because of like the dysautonomia and other things. So it's kind of like, I mean, there's honestly a lot of cons when it comes to living indoors until I like fix my dysautonomia, but that's why it's kind of like, I don't know, I'm gonna see how things go with this medical stuff, but generally I think I should just go back to my original plan, which is IVT, which honestly I wish I would have just done that in the first place, really, instead of like doing all this other stuff. I mean, even with the SIBO, it's like, I mean, but would I even really be able to pay for treatment? Am I just going to be getting told to do things and try things that I've already tried multiple times for years? Because if, like, aside from the iatrogenic brain damage and organ destruction, especially my liver and stuff being messed up, aside from that, if one of the main issues is malnutrition, then probably one of the only things that would really be beneficial is starting IVT as soon as possible. Also, the thing that I just realized like earlier the other day is that spending money on all this other stuff, and like with the supplements and going to these appointments, even, yeah, well, especially that, because like even like having to get rides to go to that, that's actually taken away from money that could be used for the IVT. So I just need to make sure that I like really pay attention to who's playing games, so I can just stop going to certain places and focus on what may actually be beneficial. But I feel like that's really the last thing I could actually try. That's something that I could actually do. As in like afford. I mean, I know there's like I mean, generally the average person couldn't really go to these doctors and med professionals that really do focus on like autoimmune and POTS and then when it comes to iatrogenic, it seems like everybody wants to skip over that. Nobody really wants to talk about that, because one, I think it's the fact that they know there's probably not anything that they can really do about that. But yeah, it's a lot of stuff with the anywho. So trying to remember where I was at before. I already read all the environment I can, but lay down and have a And I already read all that as well. But still, with lots of barriers, to be honest. Like for this one clinic place, they're talking about some new patient meeting after 5, and it's like if I stay at the shelter, I can't even go anywhere past like 5. So it's like, and then it's not safe anyways. But that's kind of still, well, that's not even really besides the point. That's one of the first things aside from the other stuff, and that's the thing. The place already isn't safe. It's already swarming with pimps and traffickers and um, all the chomos and serial chomos and rapists that they let go there. Not to mention all the ones. I mean, half everybody is really a chomo anyways. And then it's like, you want me to put up with being in an environment? You want me to go to a place, even just to go to the soup kitchen, for quote unquote help, where there's already a whole bunch of chomos and rapists that want to gang rape? Because I don't know what I can and can't say. Me have already done it to some of the other guys and plenty of other people, and a lot of people already got to stop going there because of them, and then the full-blown traffickers. And then you want me to go there and be talked junk about and have somebody tell me to go home every time they see me too, all at the same time. And then I would barely even be able to work a job because of all this stuff, and it's just a bunch of mess with that. It's like, crap, that's kind of the main point, is like being closer to the job. But if I'm not going to be able to really go there, then it's like, what's the point? Then, of course, since the whole missing persons report thing, and the lady Googling me and telling everybody everything, which is the ironic thing about it, because they keep trying to make it seem like they're not even everybody's talking about it, at least the staff. It's like, one, I really don't want that to get to the sexual predators, because they already like see me as an easy target, obviously, for the obvious reasons. But then it's also like, if they tell them about the missing persons report and all that other stuff, that's gonna make them feel like it's even easier to like manipulate me and stuff by trying to tell me about pretty much the whole your parents don't care but I care thing, or even the whole quote unquote retarded thing. If they tell them that, that's going to make them come after me more, because they're going to be like, oh well, if the diagnosis are true and she's retarded, then that means that she's even easier for me to possibly take advantage of if I just keep trying to manipulate her into coming to my house or to doing this and doing that. And I already know that like the staff are already friends with all the sexual predators. And then of course, like, I mean, the women, honestly, I don't even like the fact that women who love these sexual predators, or people like that, like they're not sexual predators too. I don't like how people do that with the women. There's a lot that I can say about that. And so anywho, they want me to quit my job, then go to a DR. I don't know if their doctor's another one, bouncing off the walls to try to do disability fraud so they can throw me in the projects probably. But I don't even know if they would even really do that for real. That sounds like a pipe dream in general. Well, shoot, not my pipe dream, but maybe theirs, because they would get kickbacks for it. It would. It's like, I'm not about to do that. And in fact, there was even this lady, because this dude was talking about he gets $1,000 a month. Honestly, a lot of people are getting way less than that, but he said he gets $1,000 or maybe a little more than that a month. And this one lady was like, well, how do you even live off of that? Because it takes me $500 a month just to eat. I don't know what she's eating, but I know that is real though. Like, I remember this dude in Cali, he was talking about GA benefits to some girlfriend. He was on the phone and he was like, I can get $500 a month. All I have to do is not work. And it's like, And I can't get any of that stuff anyways. And they don't have the GA thing here. That was a Cali thing. It stands for government assistance, but it's not even like, it's like a loan you actually have to pay back. So it's like you're sitting there going into debt month by month. Because all this stuff is really a game. It's really control tactics. It kind of makes me think about what people say with like Jezebel and government welfare. Although some of those rants that people go on are really iffy, which I kind of talk about, I guess, in my video that may have been titled, what was it titled? Get Rich Quick is a New Religion, but I think that it was something like that. But I have a couple where I talk about stuff like that. Some of the stuff is kind of iffy, but the people that talk about stuff like that, a lot of it is true. Anyhow, I'm not even about to do something like that. But I think I forgot to say, due to the whole retarded stuff, it's very obvious that now they don't believe anything I say anyway. So it's like I keep telling them that I have a job, but they pretty much just keep showing and saying that they feel like I'm just lying about that. And that's just also really annoying. It's like, I don't even really have time for that. And stuff like that is also why I'm the type of person that doesn't even like to tell people stuff anyways. But that's kind of besides the point. Disability, me and hold up. Okay, no, these niggers are out of their mind. And to be for real, with the stuff they saw that I know they saw in the smear campaigning about me, they're not about to throw me in some free house and that doesn't exist anyways. They couldn't really do stuff like this in Cali because residents voted against income-based and low-income housing, which is kind of a side note. So that's not that. So shelters would just not let people in, kick people out if they don't use drugs. Like, for example, I know I talk about all the time the whole thing that happened when I was in Cali, of how people were, due to what I like to call the Caucasian or white addict projection, people would always be like, there's no way that the only two black people here are the only people that aren't on drugs. And it's like, I mean, it is what it is. And they kicked one lady out because she wasn't using. They actually kicked a couple people out for that because they can't profit off of you. So the kick out the quote unquote black people, which someone even pointed out, only white people are really let in the shelter. I already talked about that. But I'm just gonna ignore that, or try to. I want to try to stay for at least 3 months, but they're making that really hard. They started doing that before day one. But anywho, although shelters screw your chances of making money and getting a job, well, that's kind of a side thing that I kind of already talked about anyways. But that's another thing too. I was really hoping that it would get cold. And I don't think I was here last October. I think I came in like spring, or honestly maybe even summertime. So it was hot when I came here and it's hot again, but this is really the hottest place I've been year round, even at night. Although, even though I've been like to the desert, I mean, aside from Arizona and like Texas, because it's not as humid, this place still feels cooler, even though it's apparently 110 plus degrees and stuff here. But I really wanted to go north before spring happened because generally it's just too hot year round. Aside from like the mosquito issues that I completely forgot about when leaving the south and going to the west coast, it's like it's even really hot at night. It's hard to sleep at night because it's hot. So I do want to like stay put long enough to figure out how the health stuff is gonna go, and to like try to make some money. Although the thing is that the doctor stuff is getting in the way of like work schedule stuff. But it's kind of ironic though, because like you can get fired from a job for having to go to the doctor too much, even though the point of working the job, or at least well for me, aside from needing money in general, is to pay for medical treatment, which is also kind of ironic. But what was I gonna say with that? Oh yeah, but I don't want to like do that run around the world stuff and leave before I really get to like see how things are gonna go, especially with the medical stuff. But if I lose a job, then I can't do the medical stuff anyway, so it wouldn't really matter at that point. But I am trying to figure this out. I mean, things are going to go however they're going to go in the end. But as I've been saying since my first video that may not even be public anymore about the whole cure my chronic illness, I really would want to figure things out so I can maybe give some advice to people with the same symptoms. But I know that in the end, whatever works for me wouldn't work for everybody. Oh yeah, and then another thing. I don't like this no set price stuff. I don't like this whole guessing game and you can see how much something's gonna cost, or see how much the blood work will cost at the end. It kind of reminds me of the whole thing where like I had got those Quest labs for some of it to tell me things that I kind of already knew, which also even goes into how a lot of the stuff can go back to like just the gaslighting from abusers and medical gaslighting, because it's like sometimes it does seem like just getting told things that I already been knew for years and decades and decades and decades. And then what? Because it's like, okay, so now I confirmed this thing I already knew, but now there's still nothing I can do about it. But anyway, when I had like spent all my money, which I don't really regret. I did kind of regret it off and on, but not really anymore. That I had made like busking art and trying to sell my book type ups and all that stuff while I was in Cali, and then like I got those Quest labs when I found out about that loophole through walk-in labs, and they didn't even ask for ID or anything, which I guess they're supposed to, but they didn't. But that, what was I getting? I think I don't even know what I was getting at with that. I guess just the whole thing of like spending the money on it, but then it's still kind of like, okay, now what? And then it's like when I go to places where I can actually use that stuff, which is pretty much I just started doing, it's still like really outdated. Well, not even really, but to them it's considered outdated, so it's still kind of whatever. But it's like, I don't know. I guess I'll just see how this stuff goes and see if I can even, what I need to do to try to treat the SIBO again and see if I can even afford that and then see how that goes. Because, like I've said before, I had maladaptive daydreams of running away and escaping my abuse right before the world really started to end and before the tribulation started to take off, and finding a jungle boyfriend with long hair since I was 6. But once I got out here and I stopped being gaslit as much about how chronically ill and how sick I actually am, even like visibly being physically sick, I started to realize that I really didn't have the health to like do any of those things, which were already starting to seem like kind of like bull crap. Like I used to picture myself like swinging from tree branches and stuff. I used to be able to do that stuff a long time ago, but realizing I didn't have the health for that made me realize that I'm gonna have to figure out some health stuff to even be able to, not even about wanting to do that, but just like if I don't have an option, just to be able to get by every day, I'm gonna have to be able to like do basic stuff without constantly passing out and almost falling asleep and my blood sugar dropping to 50, among other things. And so I'm trying to find the other part. This is kind of funny, to be honest. So this is no, I'm skipping something. Oh, here it is. Okay, 813. So I guess I should have read this first. Quote unquote, it's nothing to talk about. I don't look clients up on Facebook and Google. This was another lady, but this was the lady that came to confront me with the lady that I guess I can call the adolescence. Hey, the adolescence ends under 15 lady. I guess I can call. Well, that's a long title to give somebody, actually. Now to think about it, I just need to do something like with the Miss S and J videos. But I don't even know if I remember what I called her. But I'll try to call her C if I remember that. So the lady that came to confront me with C was the one who said this, which is really funny, to be honest. And this is the thing, when you've been in like a lot of high-level gaslighting and manipulation situations, especially when it comes to systematic abuse like Ramco, if you can conquer that, I guess I could say, or conquer the manipulation, you can really understand other manipulation situations. And this is just lower level stuff. This is generally just like the type of treatment you'll get in general in a manipulation situation, where you're already seen as the person who's vulnerable and needs help and who's a nobody. That's really a good way to summarize it, which I think I kind of talk about this in my Why People Are After You Zombies playlist, where pretty much the moral of that playlist is that people treat you the same in every situation but with a different excuse. But I don't even know. I don't even really know if this fits that. I feel like this more so fits the whole society has to have its scapegoats, and for somebody else to be up, someone has to be down. In certain environments, just like when really any part of the human cash cow systems and cash for kids system, you're going to be treated funny regardless, because you're just a nobody. You're their punching bag, you're their emotional whatever, they're the savior complex person, whatever in the world. And so anyhow, Facebook and Google, talk to her being C about that. And it's not illegal to Google or look up people on Facebook because it's public. You're smart, you know. Oh, okay, hold up, I'm skipping stuff. Hold up, couldn't get stuff taken down in 2022. So this is kind of something that I also mentioned, which I probably shouldn't even said this to them, but this is also why me and other people have been trying, or well, not have been, were trying back then, and even up until, like I say, 2023, maybe even 2024, to just really try to get this stuff removed, which is supposed to be able to be removed easily, but everybody was refused, and especially the predatory, exploitive, abuse enablers and flying monkeys like Darkness Exposed and Arctic Fox, and even some other person on Reddit. I know I kept telling them to remove their post about me, and they would tell me that they were going to. Then they would just block me to like, so I couldn't see it. And then they would say, well, after a while they were like, well, you're harassing me, and I'm reporting you for harassment. You're reporting me for harassment to telling you to stop exploiting me. So yeah, there was all that. And it's like people don't even really care. And that's another one of the funny thing about this quote unquote missing stuff is that you're being exploited, and especially depending on how bad the smear campaign is and what all is being said about you, it can really keep you from being able to get a job and cause a whole bunch of other issues. And if people just like see this stuff, it just generally will make them feel some type of way about you and feel like they can't trust you or act like they're scared of you and other stuff like that. That can depend though, but generally it's just going to make them treat you really weird and funny. I would actually say the worst thing about it is if somebody does see stuff like this and then doesn't say anything, and then you're trying to like wonder why you didn't get hired or whatever. And then okay, well, anywho, what else was it? Crap. I probably need to move because people are going to keep saying stuff and I'm going to keep getting sidetracked. And I already lose my train of thought too easily. I'm trying to think though. Oh, yeah, okay, so I think I kind of already mentioned that part. So I mentioned the whole job thing because it's like, okay, you say that you did all this nosy Googling and start, well, you say you didn't do it, but you say she did it then, being C, quote unquote. So you do all this Googling and stuff, and then the excuses because we want to quote unquote help you and all that. That's also another annoying thing, and this is something I've been thinking a lot about with what I've been calling "Let Me Help You Lunatic" since I've been out here. Well, even in 2022 actually, but I even realized like some more so white savior type "Let Me Help You Lunatics" that I had ran into before escaping. Although they were actually helpful compared to like anyone that has came to me screaming help and playing savior since I've been out here. But it's like, anywho, I really have started to understand more and more since especially 2022 why, especially when I was younger and I like was less in less isolated situations, and I would actually like care about people in their different abuse situations or whatever they had going on, why it would make them feel scared of me or feel like they can't trust me, because and they would be like, I'm not used to people caring or giving a crap. And I'm not saying this to like sound like all of that, because at the end of the day it doesn't even really matter because I'm just like in my own bad situation. And like I've said before, other people in screwed up situations, and especially when it comes to like other abused and neglected kids and stuff like that that are like thrown to the wolves, I mean, even if you're like someone who could give them some good tips, they're not going to want to listen to you and people like me as well, obviously, anyways, because they just see me as another person that's going to end up losing their mind or being unalived out here anyways. But anywho, point is, I get why people will be like that, because people that, if you even meet them, people that run around screaming, I'm going to help do this and help do that, they're never safe people. They're always manipulative, and they're never really that. They're usually lying anyways, to be honest. So I really get why, like, when I was in 5th grade, there was this one boy that was like, she loves us so much she hates us and all that stuff, although that goes into attachment stuff. But generally, there was just a lot of situations when I was a lot younger where people would be like, they just didn't trust me and they just didn't feel like I was safe because they don't understand why I seem to actually care when nobody else cares and none of the grown people care. So I really get that with my experiences with Let Me Help You Lunatics and just people that feel like they're some type of savior. Like you could like there was a whole thing where I went to the soup kitchen. I was talking about how I was just tired of I didn't know how much longer I was going to be able to keep going. And then the lady was like, with all the help we give you, that's rude. But I'm not going to lie though. Honestly, she's a kid herself, which I honestly feel like that's even risky because it's like people already know that like there's so many pimps and traffickers and stuff that even go to these environments, and they're like half everybody's a chomo rapist. I don't even really feel like they should have like a lot of young people, male or female, even volunteering at these places. But that's kind of a side thing. Like I kind of mentioned that before, especially with this one resource center where like the high school kids and the college kids will like come and volunteer, and then like all the different guys that they be talking about how good looking all the kids were, and it's like I don't even really know why they had these kids coming out here. It's like with all the stuff that I go through out here, I can only, I mean, yeah, they're not going to do as much stuff to them because they feel like, okay, they're going to tell their teacher, they're going to tell their parents, and they don't really have a way other than sensing it to know like which kid is really in a vulnerable situation where nobody would give a crap. Although I would say with the fact that they go to a Catholic school, they're probably at risk anyways, but it's still kind of like I don't think it's even safe. But anyhow, so I said all that about the job thing and how it's been like causing a lot of issues with getting hired, especially when I was in Cali, but there was a lot of issues with that in Cali. And of course, she just went on this rant to, uh, what's the word? Denied. I was gonna say deframe, but I don't even think that's a word. You're quote unquote, you're smart and you know that they can't keep you from getting a job as long as you have SSN and ID. Nobody can stop you. The articles just make people concerned and worried, and it's like the fact that this even happened when it shouldn't have happened, and there's lots I could say about that. That's like a good example of how much worse things could go when it comes to trying to get hired with all that stuff everywhere. Then it's also funny that people will do things like this and now they're going to be treating me funny for however long I even go back around there. But then they'll act like they don't understand how this could cause issues with getting hired with all the issues that it caused with them. So anywho, me. Wait. Oh, this is a quote from me. Okay, they can make. Oh yeah, then it can also make people feel scared and just make them feel like I'm a liability. But overall, people are gonna, especially in a place like this, people are always gonna be like, "Well, where's your parents and family and all that stuff?" It's like it just causes like a lot more risk. And then it's like people, if somebody who's already predatory sees it, it just makes them feel like, "Oh well, you're gonna be somebody that I could definitely probably do something to." Which I mean, there's a lot that I could say with that, but especially if there's somebody that doesn't know my situation and then they see that, like I mean a lot of people, especially a lot of young people, are already getting like sexually harassed, even full-blown assaulted, like by coworkers or boss, and even just customers or clients, whatever it would be called at the places they work at. Like a lot of people are already in situations like that, and then like I guess more so for a boss, it's more likely to Google you a boss or a coworker. That can make it worse. Like even a couple situations with kids like almost being unalived, or like their coworker trying to unalive them because they wanted to like essay them, and then it's like that could cause so many issues, and a lot of people already get cornered into doing things with their boss for supposed pay raises that may or may not even happen, or just to keep the job. All that is really risky, and it's like I'm already in like a heavy Marine Kingdom agent environment, and it's just like So add notes from journal page. Okay, I already read that. The fact that this happened is why I need a lawyer for removal, which I shouldn't even have to do all that. Oh, and then I noticed that some white staff member guy came and sat in on the interrogation, as I could call it, then left when they did. And I wonder what that was all about. And it's like, the most I could do is just try to stop going there. But the thing is, I just become hypoglycemic really easily if I don't have like anything to eat at all. So it's like, I don't really know how that's going to really work out. That's the issue, because like a lot of people stop going there due to stuff like this and the traffickers and all the pimps and all the essay attempts. But it's like, then you gotta find somewhere else to go, or you gotta have money to like get food, and then there's that issue. And I remember how bad it was when I first came here and I was stuck on the other side of town before the whole Chomo Shane dude, and how he was in love with me and his own kids, and the police helped him sexually harass me, and I had to leave that side of town. Before that, I didn't know where to go to like shower or get anything to eat. And then when I did find it, I still didn't have bus money, and that was like really really bad. And my blood sugar was always at 50, which is kind of typical anyways. And I wouldn't want to have to do that again, but I guess if push comes to shove, it's whatever. Because it's not even safe over there anyways. And then the next bullet point. This is also risky because it makes him see me differently and also may spread vulnerability rumors to the sex pred to their sex pred friends. And then 8:19. Right after a staff member cursed me out and she said that I needed to just forget about the whole thing with her Googling me. Oh, so C. This was C. She said that I live in the past and I need to move on and just not bring it up because she's moved on and forgotten about it. You moved on and forgotten about it, but now you won't even give me a ride to like anywhere. You won't do any of the things that you claimed you were gonna do because now you're quote unquote scared and you feel like I just need to go home, which they were already saying before they even Googled me. This is also why I can't go by my real name, which I think I may have mentioned in the part 1. If I didn't, I meant to. I should have started off with that. And then, like, especially if you're younger, people already feel like there's somewhere you're supposed to be at that you're not at and somebody's quote-unquote looking for you. So it's like they're going to try to lie to you and corner you into giving you, into you giving them, like, real info, even though you really don't have to. And so, yeah, there's that. But anyway, let me just keep reading. I live in the past, which that's something that a lot of, like, toxic, abusive type people love to say, which I could go into a whole trauma dump about that. Then right when I walked in the building, another staff had said I need to go home to the state that I'm missing in, and I need to go home to my family. And that was just really ironic that, like, right after she said the whole I need to leave it alone, I walk in the building and the staff member brings the whole thing back up. Which is also funny because they were talking about how they don't spread rumors and how they're not going to tell anybody even though they told everybody, not to mention the fact that they literally came to confront me by bringing me into this one room that technically they claimed that the clients quote unquote aren't even allowed in, where they circled around me with a couple staff members and even unrelated people, just really to obviously let them know the whole situation if they didn't already tell them. But yeah, this kind of makes me think about people who call the police, especially when I was in Cali, because they're quote unquote concerned, which wasn't true anyways, just for the police to like threaten me and corner me and all that stuff, which is really ironic. They never, luckily, because this isn't, I mean, it's a good thing that they didn't, but they never like locked me up to send me home or to just throw me in like a jail or something. They would just threaten me and then eventually leave me, or they would just watch me from a distance and stalk and harass me, but they would never like ask me any questions about my situation or why I'm out here, which is still a good thing, but it's just really, it reminds me of that, because it's kind of like the whole, I don't even know how to make it make sense what I'm trying to say, but like this is for quote unquote help, but it's really just like toxic stuff. That's not a really good way to explain it, but I don't know. If I can figure out a better way, I'll put it in the description. Anyhow. So yeah, he said all that and then went on a rant about how he's not supposed to be talking to the women anyways. Which, there's a lot that I could say about that, but I already have discernment. I can already tell who's what and who's predatory anyway, so it doesn't matter. That didn't surprise me. But, yeah. So there was that. Talking about, so I'm not even supposed to be talking to the women up in here anyways, and it's like, and then how true is that even really? That's just you trying to fight your own issues. Anywho, to be honest, they first told me they don't have the case manager, which is common apparently, because another lady said that she was told that for a long time too. But now she's quote unquote scared of and quote unquote mean to me. And I say quote unquote because even another staff member had told some other staff member about that. But it's like, at the end of the day, I don't know why they act like it's so much of a privilege to even be in like an environment where you're surrounded by a bunch of people that want, a bunch of chomos and rapists that want to gang rape you and essay their own kids, and then the women are happy-go-lucky about these dudes, and then they want to act like they're fighting you over their chomos that you don't want. All of it is really annoying. It kind of makes, well, not it kind of does. I wrote this somewhere for another video I wanted to make actually, but this could actually go good in here. It reminds me of how, like, I begged to go to Job Corps to try to get out of my situation just for it to be a place with, well, I won't even say that all the staff are necessarily risky, but just the whole thing of getting essayed by the doctor along with these two other boys who also got essayed by the doctor that same day, all in one go around. It just made the whole thing even more not worth it, aside from other issues with like the roommate stuff. But it's like, I remember on my first day, I was only there for 2 weeks. And it's like, on my first, no, I would say maybe like my third day there, the staff will like have these things, these meetings and talks with us where they were like dangling the whole thing over our head and like how pretty much we could be kicked out any minute. Like it was a death sentence, and pretty much like they constantly made us aware that they saw us being there as like a last option. And it was interesting because I begged to go there, which is, I guess, was kind of pointless because I had too many health issues for the trade stuff anyways. But they were always talking about how the reason you're in here is because you made a bad decision and you did something wrong. And it's like, they were talking about it like they were like a TTI prison cash for kids system placement, or like a Ramco jail or something. And this lady was like, this was your last option, this was your last chance. And it's like, shoot, whose last chance? Then there was even this one boy in there. I mean, pretty much everybody in there is escaping some abuse situation, that's why they're there. But I still remember the whole thing with that one boy who was escaping high-level traffic. Well, not escaping, he was being high-level trafficked, and that's why he was in there, because he was being trafficked by the military and relatives. And it's like, people really don't care when they feel like there's some type of savior. They're working for some organization that's some type of like help savior to the vulnerable people, the castaways that nobody cares about. And that's what it makes me think of. It's like, we're your last option, even though that's not what's going on. Although I feel like crap, maybe at shelters could be some people's last option more so than Job Corps. But I mean, that depends on why you're there. Like, were you sent there by a PO officer, or were you sent there or did you ask to go there? Or did you go there because you were homeless? Which still, even then, you need parents' permission unless you're 18 plus. But then they want a parent or relative as like a, what's it called? Like a reference. So they still want you to have a reference to even go, which that has its own issues. And it's like, it's all really interesting, but that's what it makes me think about.